Hey, what's up everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I felt the urge to get out of that room. I don't know exactly where I'm going or why I'm walking, but I am definitely walking, so figured I would just turn on the camera, see what happens. I'm not going to Hollywood today. It's only like 3 o'clock. It's getting warmer, but I don't even think it's 80 degrees. It might be like 78, 79. Feels good. But I just found myself, after doing all of my laundry and taking care of everything I had to do, paying the room off, all of these different things, I was like, all right, what am I doing in this room? I don't feel like doing my Hunter's Blue workout right now. Maybe I feel like it when I get back. But I had walked around and been already out. So my thing was, I don't like getting into bed to day sleep unless I take another shower. And I didn't feel like taking another shower as well. So I'm like, let me see what type of music came out last night. And it wasn't a whole lot there, to be honest with you. It was a bad night for music. So I couldn't really put together much for a playlist or anything like that. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, man, what am I going to do with my day? So I listened to one of the videos that I made on the way to Target this morning. Sat around, looked at the phone a little bit, social media, and nothing going on there. So I'm like, all right, let me try to turn to the Lord. Let me get a little meditation time in. And as soon as I got into my meditation, the Lord immediately got me up and out the house. It was like, it was not time to meditate. It was time to get out the house. So I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm out here, so we'll see. But I'd imagine there's something that the Lord wanted me to say on this camera. That's what I think. Or just to feel the breeze and get a little exercise in, and just try to cherish the opportunity of being in this era, because it's a good one thus far. I mean, now that I've gotten settled into the Studio Lodge Hotel, it's been, what, a year and a half now. I'm enjoying the days I've been having as of late. As I was telling you guys earlier today in the video that I made. So, when I look about my life right now, it's just wanting God to sort some things out, straighten things out, and give me the ability to kind of practice what I preach in some key areas. I was praying about forgiveness last night. That's a real strong point of emphasis on my intentions of asking for wisdom. Forgiveness, not only as it pertains to having it come my way and having it loaded up for others, as it pertains to me forgiving other people and understanding the wisdom behind that, but just also in general, just in looking at some of the stuff that we're seeing in the world today, some of the things that wear me down that we talk about on this channel, how to not necessarily apply forgiveness, but how to not allow for resentment to pile up, and how that aligns with forgiveness as well. And so that is kind of on my mind right now. It's a lot of stuff in this world that's meant to wear you down. It's a lot of stuff in this world that's meant to tire you out. Not just the things that I can think of, but you would see that in your own life, in whatever walk of life you're in. Some days in life you may find yourself not even bogged down with big things. These are little things that could potentially be eating away at your happiness or eating away at your patience. And for what it is that I'm saying is, we want to find ways of allowing the spirit of forgiveness, or it's not really forgiveness, it's the spirit of letting things go, and the spirit of looking at things in a way that doesn't hurt you, and all those different things that kind of align with one another. As the idea is to not allow for outside things that may be irritating to ruin what's going on in the inside of you, or have you knocked off of your balance in regards to whatever it is that your focus would be. Little things sometimes. You might slip, fall, get up, look at your phone, find out you're overdrawn, something happened with your account, go to make a sandwich, find out you don't have any mayonnaise or whatever, go out to buy some mayonnaise, get in a fender bender with your car. Like, it's stuff like that that's meant to wear you down. So every once in a while, God forbid, of course, but this is something that happens to people, where you get just a succession, if that's the right word, sequentially just different things like that just come into your life back to back to back to back that are meant to just make you want to crash all the way out and give all the way up. You run into a bad day at work. You're irritable before you even get there because you got in an argument with your spouse. Now, you know what I mean? Now you get to work and you're dealing with all types of customers, they acting up. Then you go home and find out you're in traffic. And when you finally do get home and you find out your kid got suspended from school, like that type of stuff, it just hits you back to back to back to back. And I think you find yourself wondering, like, why in the world did all of this happen in one day? I can go a whole year without having some of this stuff happen, but it all hit me at once. How did that happen? And I think the answer is because it's meant for you to be worn down so that frustration that you ultimately feel because of those situations can keep you from welcoming the next blessing into your life, or welcome the next good thing that the Lord is trying to do into your life. It's meant to make you miss something that maybe you're supposed to be paying attention to, that will make you sharp enough to fulfill whatever your destiny is for that day. Just to throw you off. And so to not be thrown off is what the meditation is about, and to how best to manage all different types of things like that in your life. Maybe it's not the sequence of a million things hitting you at once. Maybe you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you know what I mean? How do we keep from letting that throw us off? And to say that I have the answer, I don't really know that I do, but I know that the goal is to not hurt ourselves, not to allow our frustration to back us into mistakes, not to allow things that are meant for our detriment to welcome us into that space, but rather to use energy that will deflect it, of an opposite kind, to kind of lead the way within ourselves. So forgiveness does that. Somebody does something to you, kill them with kindness does that. Whatever kind of energy that would ultimately play into your best interest, despite something coming against you that would make you unhappy. And I think about what just happened at the Israeli embassy, with them 2 people getting shot down. And the idea is that a pro-Palestinian person who's for the betterment of the movement took those people's lives in the name of trying to raise awareness. And I just think that's so counterproductive. Now, granted, I believe that was a false flag situation. I believe that. But it was said this person wrote a manifesto. And not only that, but they have a neighbor that supposedly lives next door to this person that did this, come out and speak on that person's behalf. And they were also raising awareness for the movement, talking about the numbers and the different things that have happened. Now, for me, that doesn't necessarily signify that this isn't a false flag. It's just a necessary evil to make it believable. You understand what I'm saying? They know what they're doing is wrong. And if they're using somebody to provide a false flag operation, making it believable is the most important part. This is what I didn't see from them when believing it was a false flag operation last time we talked about it. I didn't see the effort in making it believable. But when I heard more about what was done there, then you see the manifesto. Then you see the person that comes out that's supposed to know, who supposedly knows this person, who says all the right things in regards to just how egregious this thing is. But the idea is to make it believable. The idea is to make it look as if somebody who's on the pro-Palestinian side of things killed these people. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to make it believable, you got to be able to use the talking points that are used on the pro-Palestinian side to make it look as if this person was really on the pro-Palestinian side. So I think that's what they did there. I think that's what was done there. This still, to me, feels like a false flag situation. I just think they did a much better job than I thought they did in trying to make it believable, putting a little more effort than maybe it looked like they were intentionally when I initially heard about this. But the idea, I got off track to say, we, the people who want to see Palestine free, know that violence is not going to be a solution to what it is we're trying to do. Because what ultimately Israel and the Zionists often do is use violence not only to get what they want done, but lie about those who are on the other side of them about being violent. So essentially you're playing straight into their hands, their narrative hands. Whatever it is that they ultimately use against us, you give them all the ammunition to shoot back at us. Because our idea is to not only save lives, but to defeat an opponent, so to speak, who's intentional on lying about the viciousness of us. So if we're going to go out there and be vicious, it just brings validity to the lies that they tell about us and the lies that they tell about the Palestinian people. So it's like everybody that I have ever heard of in regards to this movement is intelligent enough and cognizant of this enough to not put themselves in a position to hurt anybody. It's not necessarily because we're not angry enough to do so. It's because we understand that that plays right into the hands of those that you're going against. They're trying to tell everybody that you're violent terrorist supporters and terrorists. So if you go out and do any violence, the first thing they're going to do is say, see, this is what they're about. This is why it justifies what it is we're doing. Because we're going up against these vicious animals, and this is how you have to neutralize a vicious animal. That's their entire statement about this process. They're trying to normalize killing children to prevent future wars that they think are going to harm their children. They kill off all the kids. They don't have to deal with any of that. That's what they're trying to sell to all of us. That's what they're selling to one another as they continue to do this monstrous nonsense. So as somebody who wants to see Palestine free and wants to see the murdering stop, the last thing you're going to do, if you have any damn sense at all on this side, is hurt anyone else. Now, people like Aaron Bushnell may, in full demonstration mode, kill himself, but he ain't going to kill nobody else. Not if he's trying to actually bring legitimacy to his point of view. So I said all this to say that I think this is a false flag situation for two reasons. Not only because of what I just expressed, but because if we were going, and I say we because I feel like I'm very much a part of this movement, even though I do it in my own way. If anybody on our side, the colonial side of this conversation, were going to actually hurt somebody, it certainly wouldn't be some random people outside of the embassy. Some random, just like gumshoes. Why the hell are we shooting at them? We know who the faces of this genocide are. The talking heads, the ones that move the needle, the people that ultimately make a difference in this situation. You got American politicians. You got Israeli officials. There are a lot of people that if you want to be violent and make a difference in being violent, that you could go after. You ain't gotta just hurt anybody random outside of a damn embassy that comes out of that embassy just because they came out of the embassy. You're not winning anything that way. It's the same thing I said about that poor father who lost his son in that violent police shooting that got in his vehicle and ran over a police officer. You ain't winning nothing that way. You're not going to convince anybody that you're and your lineage deserve to survive if your intention is to harm. You're just playing to the narrative that the measures used against you and your son were justified. It doesn't work. And so that's my point of view in this same conversation about that. I don't think that works. I wouldn't think anybody who's cognizant of what's going on here, who's of sound mind and body, would. Because we know that plays into the hands of those who want to paint us out to be vicious monsters, who need to be neutralized. And the person that's joining this fight in regards to this Palestinian genocide is of the spirit of wanting to see people survive. Killing is what we're tired of. Death is what we've seen too much of. Coming to someone's aid who is suffering the ills of violent creatures, coming at them is ultimately what has brought us to this fight. So turning into one of those violent creatures does nothing to save those people. And so I still think that's a false flag. I read the manifesto. It seemed rather, I don't really have the word for the energy that came off of that thing. But I'm telling you this. I have paid attention to a lot of different people who have something to say about this Palestinian genocide. A lot of people. A lot of them are some of the main voices that are raising awareness for this Palestinian genocide and what's happening there. I follow a lot of those main people. Been following them for a while now. I know how they talk. I know how they think. I know what they want. The person who wrote that, he didn't echo any of the sentiments in the energy that I read of the people that are fighting to save lives. That sounds like somebody who is sitting in a war room somewhere devising tactics of war, trying to sound as if they're somebody who has a heart for the circumstance. They have the data necessary to make themselves sound believable as it pertains to telling us the numbers and saying how ridiculous it is. But in the way that they worded things, they sound like a damn robot. They sound like somebody who's likely sitting in a war room somewhere surrounded by a bunch of people who've been trained by the military for 37 years, 40 years, and saying, this is what we need to do. Let's write a manifesto. Let's send this person out there and let's get this done. That's what it read. As I always say, read the energy. That's what the energy read to me. Like, this was likely somebody who is a tactical war person. And see, that's the problem with pretending that you're something that you're not when trying to connect with people that you only partially understand. This is why it's somewhat damaging, if not the word dangerous, to try to connect with people who are empathetic in nature when you don't have that empathy, but you try to infiltrate those spaces. You're missing some context to understand what drives them there. You may have what they need to hear to believe you, but if they're of the ability to read energy, they're going to understand that something's a little off about you. And the only thing I took from that manifesto is that they 100% understand what they're doing is wrong. That's all I took from that manifesto. That the Israeli side are not completely oblivious to the ridiculousness of this killing. They're just giving themselves passes for it because they're chosen in their minds and better than everyone else, and these are the measures that they believe are necessary to be able to inhabit the land that they ultimately have reserved for themselves. They do not think this is right. They do understand that this is harsh. They do understand that these children are children who may very well not grow up to terrorize them. But they're following this process anyway, because they are better than everyone, because they believe they're chosen by God to do this, and these are the measures necessary to ensure it gets done. That is what that manifesto showed me, that them on that side, they know better. They know they shouldn't be doing this. They know if they were to view themselves as normal human beings, this is horrible. But because they are them, it's supposedly fine. And that is the most dangerous aspect of all of this, in my opinion. That they will always look at the fact that they're chosen and say, we have a right to do really anything. Anything, pretty much. And then from there, just go ahead and give themselves passes for anything they want to do. No accountability whatsoever. And so that's what my concern is as a human being who's watching this from the outside, advocating for the lives of these people. That I don't think at all that those who are on the other side of this, especially those who are actually in control of a lot of this, believe any of this is okay. Because when they try to pretend like they're on this side, they speak as if they understand that. And so that's what I'm here to say. I want, if anything, people to understand that we all in our own individual spaces believe we are important to whatever degree we allow our egos and our cultures will allow us to believe. There are a lot of people within each and every community that firmly believe they're the most important people in the world. We all have to fight that demon. We all have to believe, we all have a belief in something that makes us feel like it's okay to be ourselves and to impose our desires to be better on other people. Hello. And while we have to fight that within the intelligent of us all, we have to fight that because we understand that there is others in this world and that we're not the center of the universe, and you will need friends in order to survive whatever's coming your way, that you will need people in order to gain whatever wealth you're trying to get in this world. That you being the center of the world and the center of the universe doesn't really get you as far as being cognizant of the needs of others and being diplomatic in regards to how you provide and share and do business with other people. It becomes extremely dangerous, in my opinion, when an entire people believe that they are exempt from any of those realities just simply because they exist. And that is exactly what you have in the Zionist movement. That's exactly what you have. But the sick part about it is they are adapting to the identity of others. That's not even who they really actually are. And I don't think a lot of them are ready to face that. I think a lot of them are living the lie as if it's the truth, raising one another to believe the lie. But the essence of what it is that they actually are is European in a lot of cases. They are not Jewish. They are deriving a lot of their intentions, attaching themselves to the Jewish faith, attaching themselves to the Jewish people, taking over the land in the Middle East and calling it a Jewish state. But they are only adapted Jews, people who've adopted the faith conveniently so that they can have the carte blanche to call themselves chosen as they take over other people's lands and do all different types of things to people that they really know that if they don't have that moniker would not be tolerated by the rest of us. It's why they chose the Jews. It's because they know the Jews are universally understood to be chosen by God. And so if you want to enact all of what it is that you do, no matter what it is, above, beyond reproach, what you're going to do is put on the hat of those who are understood to be chosen and then proceed to do those things. And you get the excuse, and a great deal of the ignorance of the world will allow you the carte blanche to do what you do because they will believe by way of what they believe that you are the chosen ones. It's why they chose the Jews. This is why I want people to understand, like, the Zionist movement itself is self-aware. But a lot of the people who are Zionists, they are not, as it pertains to what drives them to be in the position that they feel they're in. They don't really know. The essence of the culture and the essence of the faith itself that they are part of shuns them from asking certain questions. It makes it rude for them to even question certain things. And as I come to be more cognizant and aware of what it is that's going on there, I understand deeply that that is on purpose as well. So that they don't grow a conscience for who they claim their enemy to be. So that they can continue on the mission of colonizing the earth. This is just simply another version of white supremacy, who has understood and elevated itself in such a way to Jewish status to further be given the past to do horrible things in modern times that were ultimately done in the past. Wiping out indigenous people, stealing land. You needed to be given a pass. And the only way you're going to get that pass is to put on that Jew hat and say you're chosen and this is what God wants you to do. This ain't what God wants you to do. You ain't even aware of what a God actually is about. If you were, then you would know not to play with him like this. And when I look at individuals, random individuals, like the two people who passed away in this what I consider a false flag, they were just echoing the sentiment of the culture and the brainwashing that came with the Zionist supremacy movement. They weren't special. They were just people who were pushing the Israeli agenda. The Israel agenda, to be more specific, to say this is the agenda that will allow them the carte blanche to build greater Israel. And they brainwash people from birth to have these wicked, warped, paranoid, and aggressive norms that they think the rest of the world will give them a pass for because they're Jewish. To essentially destroy and annihilate entire races of people to inhabit their land. Just like their forefathers. There's nothing special about these individuals. They adapt the mindset necessary that's placed upon an entire people so that they can execute this process. They embody a mindset that has been given to a good majority of these people from birth. I don't even find myself as angry at individual people anymore within this, because I understand. I've seen enough footage of them teaching their kids this. I've seen enough of them teach their kids this to know that most of them are teaching their kids this. And most may be a strong assessment. Far be it for me to tell you what all is there. But I can tell you what the ambition is, to assure that everybody adapts to that mindset. To assure that everybody believes it's important that we do these things in order to achieve this goal. So whether they were effective in getting most of these people or not, it's not necessarily relevant to what it is that I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is they want to get all. So if they were accomplished in doing that, then they probably do have most of the minds of the people over there. And the people over here and anybody that's attached to that faith by way of Zionism. To believe that it's fine to annihilate children to accomplish common goals and to exalt the Jew. Not just the Zionist Jew, but they want to lump themselves in there with the Jews, which is why I say it that way. To put the Jew in their rightful place as rulers of the world and slave owners of the Goy. And so what I'm telling you is this. A lot of us have Jewish friends. A lot of us are afraid to go against our Jewish friends because we really value those friendships. I look at some of the people that I pay attention to online and different things. They got people around them that are Jewish. They don't want to step on these toes. They don't want to betray those friendships. They don't want to challenge those people's faith. They don't want to challenge those people's ideology because it's people you know your whole life in a lot of cases. That's what makes this very dangerous, because you got a lot of American people who know better but are not going to challenge their friendships to be better in regards to this ideology. Especially when they know their friends believe themselves to be chosen by God for something greater than anything that we have going on. How do you tell somebody that believes they're greater than everybody else that they can't do what they need to do to survive? That's essentially what you're doing when you challenge any of these people in regards to this, because that's what they believe they need to do to survive. And furthermore, that they have a right to survive, obviously. And then furthermore, they have a right to do other things, anything, because they're chosen. I'm telling you that America needs to understand that you're doing your friends no favors. When you have a friend that adapts to this mentality, you're doing him no favor, because he's creating so many enemies by pushing forward this agenda. By standing idly and allowing this agenda to take place, you are doing them no favors. And you would hope that as this tumbles forward, that to not be standing next to them when what's coming for them comes for them. Because today, we are being nonviolent. The pro-Palestinian movement is very intentional on being nonviolent. But that's not the only angle that you need to be paying attention to. It's not just the people who want to see people survive. There are a lot of people out there who are here to hurt people on the opposite end of this Zionist movement. You got the people like the Yemeni out there who are on a holy mission to destroy Zionism. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? They got real enemies. This is not just them versus people, peaceful protesters that they pointed out and have painted out to be terrorist supporters. That's not the only thing that's going on there. No, they got real enemies coming from different directions that they don't understand nor see coming. People who are very much ready to die to assure that most of them die. You don't want to be standing next to them when that comes for them. While you sitting here painting these students who just want to see people survive, who hate seeing genocide, as terrorist supporters, what you must understand is they got real enemies. Warrior enemies that at any moment could come strike them for this ideology. They would be wise to denounce this ideology if they're not ready to die for it. Because what they're providing is unwavering resistance. That's what happens when you kill children. You have people out there who are going to have unwavering resistance, unwavering patience as it pertains to stopping you. That's what I don't think is spoken of enough, is how much danger the Zionist is in. How little prepared he actually is for what's coming for him, based on all the enemies that he's creating and all of the narratives that are bad for the PR of their people, versus those who are hell-bent on stopping them for this. And as I've said on this camera many times, you cannot wipe out an entire race of people and expect that you won't have an entire world of enemies. You underestimate the humanitarians out there, those who just hate seeing people succeed in these type of missions. They may not be that great of human beings themselves, but they definitely don't want to see you be successful in this way. You ever heard of the psychology of the person who wants to come into the room and knock out the biggest bully just to show that they're the biggest bully? Yeah, that energy is out there for this entity. They don't find themselves cognizant of this apparently in the things that I'm paying attention to, but that energy is out there. You're going to wipe them all the way out? You don't think there's going to be another people who are not going to want to have it said that they wiped you out because of it? These are the type of things that are possible. Enemies coming from directions they're not even thinking about. They're sitting up here trying to live in a lie and paint those who are bleeding of the heart in regards to what they're seeing out to be their biggest enemies. They're attacking people who are not interested in attacking them. This is the problem with the Zionists. Amongst many other things that's wrong with the Zionists, they're too busy attacking and using ammunition on non-violent opponents. They're wiping out Palestinian people. Palestinian people have a small army called Hamas trying to fight them off. That's just defense, man. You punch me, I'm trying to counter. That's all Hamas ever is. That's all it's ever going to be, in my opinion. It's not meant to be some type of greater take over the world type of energy like the Zionists are trying to paint it out to be. It's not that. You punch me, I punch you back. You kill my kid, I want to take your life. With respect, because I believe in God. Like, that's literally Hamas in a nutshell. But that's not the only people who want them annihilated for this process. That's not the only ones who are after them. That's not the only resistance that's coming against them. They too busy trying to kill off children. They wasting bombs, trillions of dollars in bombs on non-violent people. At some point in time, that's going to catch up to them. In some variation or form, that's going to catch up to them. You're spending all your energy stomping out ants and stomping out roaches when you got a fleet of lions coming your way. How much energy you going to have for them lions? How much energy you going to have for them apes? How battle tested are you for the attack of the apes when all you do is going around stomping out people who can't do nothing to you? At some point in time, this is going to catch up to them. And I'm telling you, all you American politicians, all of y'all that are enabling this, they're going to throw you under the bus. They're going to throw you under the bus. When the fire gets hot enough, they've already shown you they'll kill their own people. They definitely kill you. You being aligning in alliance with them is some type of wicked sorcery. Because if you know any damn better, you know damn well they're going to turn on you. You know they are. Whatever you think they're going to protect within you being compliant to their intentions is brain dead stupidity. Absolutely ridiculous, irresponsible naivete. These people engage in something called the Hannibal Directive, meaning they'll kill their own people. Hence what I think just happened there with those 2 Israelis at the embassy in DC. What do these politicians in DC think these people are going to do when it makes sense for them to turn on you? Do you think they'll hesitate in any way? While y'all sitting up here ignoring people like Medea and ignoring people who are using their voice to try to put an end to the madness. What you don't understand and what has not been articulated to you is the people who you ignore, by way of the different degrees of separation for what genocide can be in regards to reaching you, they're too saving your life as well. Because if we can convince the world to stop them from doing this, they're never going to be able to turn on you and weaponize whatever they do against you in sacrifice for themselves. They're never going to be able to do that. This is the problem with trying to hurt people who don't want to hurt you. This is what's wrong with trying to paint people out who want to save lives out to be the bad guys. When it's time for your life to be saved, they are not successful in doing so for you. In the midst of trying to keep your politics together, you're taking the best of us, those who care the most about the world, out of the equation. You're trying to throw these people in prison. You're trying to send them to different countries so that you can keep up your relationship with the people who are looking to terrorize innocent people to their very own detriment. When you start removing these people from your society, do you know what you're left with? People who don't care. This is why I say we're irresponsible as a nation, because we're going along with Israel as if what they're doing is not wrong, as a means of keeping what we have going. But what you end up doing is end up having it leak on the back end in this way. Ruining relationships with the next generation of people who are likely going to be responsible for what happens to you when you're too old to take care of yourself. Showing all of them that you don't care nothing about them. So what makes you think they're going to care anything about you when you're no longer able to take care of yourself? Like, these are the things that I really need to ask the Zionists. Like, are you prepared for this? Do you have a plan for that? When this generation of students grow up and are in control of so many different things, are you ready for what it looks like when they don't care about you? 20 years from now, when you show them that you didn't care about them, are you ready for the fallout of that? A lot of these people, because of the ideology that they're better than everybody else and that they're chosen for something, they leave themselves vulnerable for these type of things to not be protected against. They're not considering these ideologies hurting them in the future. And nobody's articulating this to them. Nobody's saying, yo, hey, this is going to hurt you tomorrow. People are going to really have a vengeance against you tomorrow for what you allowed to happen today, and for the just sheer arrogant nature of thinking you could pull it off. From the sheer nature of just people sitting here watching you dance around as you accomplish it. Watching politicians that you pay or politicians that you have blackmailed ignore us when we're crying out for help. There's going to be a wrath and a certain wicked resentment that's pointed at you because of this. You know, as I consider my age, I date myself when I think of a movie called Ghost. It came out in like 1990. Patrick Swayze, rest in peace. And I think about the person that ended up, without ruining the movie for those who've never seen it, it's a really good movie, but the person who ended up committing a horrible crime, without being a spoiler, horrible crime that unalived some main character in the movie, later on when that person loses their life in a separate event, you see all these demons coming out of the shadows to grab their spirit, their unalived spirit, and drag it to hell. This is what I think the metaphor is for what's coming for the Zionists. You're doing all this killing, you're doing all this evil, you're doing all this giving yourself pats on the back and all of these different things that you're doing and justifying it in the language of the earth. Yay, you know, we have a right, all of these different things that you can do on the earth so long as people are unaware of the truth. But the spirits, the God in heaven, the one you say chose you, the demons, the devil, the one you serve, actually, none of your lies are unknown. Those of us who are paying attention to what you're doing, random whoever, watching what you're doing, some of which are extremely intelligent and resourceful, some of them who are very powerful as well, they may come drag you away. You may be able to lie to the common public in right now's times, in the short term, but in the long term, when the footage is still around 35, 45 years from now, 100, 200 years from now, what does this mean for your people? What does this mean for you? Who's to say that somebody ain't gonna come drag y'all away? Who's to say that those who understand this aren't gonna plot a 100-year plan to annihilate your people? I see, these are the type of things I just say, yo, this is why if you have real friends who are aligned with this stuff, you need to start giving them some understanding of the possibility of the things that hurt them for going along with the ideology they were raised with. Because that ideology hurts them. It hurts them. They are creating enemies. They are creating those enemies blind spots as well by way of that ideology for them to be hiding in and lurking in, and God knows what comes from that. And they only care about today. They think they're exempt from certain consequences, and that is the most dangerous thing for them. It's the most dangerous thing for them. They're fat and happy. They think they can get away with everything. They think right now is forever. All of that stuff, it plays into their own detriment. And look, I've been having controversial conversations being had on this channel for a very long time. I would imagine there's some FBI, some Zionists, high-level individuals been following me, people in high places. I'm sure y'all follow me. If you don't follow me for these conversations, you probably follow me because of the Lakers. You follow me. You know that there's some merit to what I'm saying. If you followed enough of what I'm having, enough conversations that have been had on this channel, you know you should probably give some credence to what it is I'm talking about. From a spiritual perspective, you've already seen much proof on my channel of the validity of my brain. You know I see things differently than most. And a lot of what it is we've talked about over the last 7 years has proven a lot of different things, I believe, including the merit of faith. It's proven. You watch every video on mine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of this stuff is proven, bro. Y'all need to stop playing with God, man. Stop playing with him. Just like God is real, so is his enemy, man. And they both agree that those who do wrong need to be in the enemy's hands and suffer the enemy's fate. They both agree on that. This is something that's hidden in a lot of faiths. I don't think people understand the devil and God. They have an understanding. Hey, look, that person's doing bad. He going over there with you. And I'm telling y'all, it's a lot of y'all who call yourselves good people, chosen people, say y'all do things for God, with God, from God. He told you this, he told you that. You think that everybody else is bad except for you? I promise you, that scenario I said about ghosts dragging away old dude, that you're gonna have that be your future. That's gonna be what happens to you. And I'm not saying I'm exempt from that. If the things that I've done were too much, the Lord will drag me away too. He'll have them demons drag me away too. But that's the nature of not being given some ideology that makes me think I'm exempt from the consequences of my wrongdoings. I'm afforded that. No one raised me to believe that I can get away with whatever I want to. So it's to say I'm careful enough not to do whatever I want to, because there will be consequences that are far more dire than what it is that I'm ultimately prepared for. And this ideology, this Zionist ideology, it robs these people of that. It robs them of that. When you teach your kids that it's okay to harm children, to protect against future wars, when you tell children that the land is yours because it was given to you 1,000 years ago and you need to go take it by means of any means necessary, you rob your children of the right to the freedom, the belief that the consequences of what it is that they uphold will ultimately come and harm them later on. It's very unfortunate. A lot of people call themselves educated and educators that will align with this ideology that's so dangerous for those who follow it. Irresponsible generation of people. And it's many who only do so for the togetherness of the structure of capitalism and what those who believe themselves to be chosen represent within that structure, only to inevitably destroy that structure by way of this process. The credibility of it, the desire for people to keep it going, and then furthermore what is represented in regards to the dollar itself, when you have so many people intertwined, webbed together for the nature of crime. Talk about a RICO. Once you start plugging some of this nonsense from it, you see the whole thing deteriorate. That's why so many people uphold it. But it's going to destroy anyway because of the nature of this being exposed to so many of us at this point. There's no turning back from witnessing genocide and being aware that the powers that be who hold everything together are ultimately propelling it forward. You don't come back from that. You can't PR your way out of that. The truth of this circumstance spreads. And the more it spreads, the natural reaction that human beings have to being awakened to the understanding of what just happened here, and furthermore what keeps everything together being that for which makes this happen, makes people go into just tailspins, tidal waves of tailspins in each and every space of the globe. That's what is coming of this. Many people are going to lose their ish, so to speak, when they come to realize what it is that we've been telling them is true. When they come to understand that this doesn't actually work. And see, that's a whole nother conversation. There's a lot of people who believe that you need to kill children to keep yourself safe. They're going along with this madness because they have yet to see it fail. When they start losing people, for which they're inevitably going to do, you're going to see an implosion there like you've never seen or heard before. Because there are people who are going along with things they know they shouldn't do because they think it's going to save them tomorrow. You told them it would save them tomorrow. You told them that if they starve these people out, if they kill off their children, if they support the annihilation of these people, that they would be safe for it, that they would have a utopia in the Middle East beyond what America looks like today, that they would be able to live on this land exempt from all problems and all possibilities of things coming their way that they don't like for the rest of eternity. And when that fails, when they find out that that was not a means of getting what it is they want, then you're going to start seeing the demons of those people come out in ways that are pointed at you, Zionists. That's why Greater Israel don't work. That's why it don't work. Because it's leaning on the contingency that war is not coming when they're provoking war from different angles, not just the ones that they're pointed at. You're trying to annihilate those people's kids because you don't want them coming back to harm you. What you end up doing is pissing off everybody else, so the harm is coming. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't actually work. So when it inevitably fails, and you find out the Greater Israel is the main target for different terror attacks that are going to be coming from every direction, from every opponent, and it's going to cost more to secure that place than it is to keep it going, that's inevitable, because that's what actually comes with what it is they're doing. I tell y'all, man, following human beings, I've always understood that a lot of human beings are just sheep, man. You give them an ideology, you keep it in rotation for long enough, and people will follow it without question. Even if they know it doesn't work, they'll still believe it works because of the exhaustion of themselves in regards to it. We will make it work. They may not, we will. That ignorance leads people down some very dark paths, and this is yet another example of that. 2 + 2 gonna always equal 4, man. You cannot wage war against people and think that everybody's just gonna sit back and be cool when you're doing that against people who are not harming anybody. When you're doing that against people that you've been doing this to for 75 years. That's not real, man. That's not how that even adds up. You gotta believe something that isn't true inherently from birth in order to allow yourself to believe that this is what comes with that. You don't get safety from war. You don't get safety from provocation and further taunting of human beings. You don't get peace from that. You don't get safety from that. Running around taunting people and then harming people and torturing people. And then you think you get to sit back and be safe? You think you just scared everybody off? That's not real. That's not how that psychology actually adds up. And that's what I want to challenge those who follow me, who align with this. Do you think that's what comes with that? Forget the idea that you're chosen or not chosen. Let's just say you're chosen. You're still flesh and blood, right? Has God come down from a cloud and told you that he's going to save you from the wrath of men? Does it say that in that book? If it says that in that book, then furthermore, follow your ideology, see where it takes you. But if it don't say that in that book, and you're going along with this, thinking that you're going to be saved for provoking people and destroying children and making us all witness it, I promise you, you're in for a very, very rude awakening. Because that's not what comes with that. That's not what comes with that. And money can't save you in everything, man. When you traumatize children who are watching this genocide and they grow up to be powerful, we've already said this. This is a recap. But when you do that, they grow up with a certain intention that is beyond what it is we can fathom. And the notion that you think you know what a child is going to grow up to be, to the point where you're going to wipe out an entire people's children because you know they're going to be terrorists, ignores the template of understanding that this is for which I just described. You don't really know what people are going to grow up to be. You don't know how intelligent they're going to be or what resources they're going to have, what type of friends they're going to have, what the environment's going to look like when they grow up. Global warming alone may change where people live, change what they need in order to survive, may change the order of things altogether. Just from the fact that it may be 170 degrees where you're trying to build this Greater Israel 25, 30 years from now. What happens then? When that place is not even habitable no more, and you got to move somewhere else. Or a climate has changed in such a way to where you have to leave that place. Are you counting on technology saving you from these circumstances? You think you're going to be able to build enough bunkers that are going to be able to withstand that or something? Do you have a plan for that? If you don't you think you should start developing one? Like, a lot of this stuff ain't, I'm telling you, I know this crap ain't thought out. Because from a spiritual perspective, it aligns with something that is of the devil. And as I always tell y'all about the devil, he never covers his backside. He's not loyal to anyone. He wants to punish those who work for him. So he's never going to lead them down a path to where safety comes. And he's never going to actually tell them that it's him who is driving them. So they're going to be confused by it. This is of the devil. Every bit of it, it speaks to the Satanism that it actually is. And so with it comes the inevitability of the backside of it being exposed. And listen, it's not the first time I've said this. It's not the first time I've thought this at all. But the backside of this movement is exposed in so many different ways that are not thought out because of the idea that they are exempt from consequences based on them being chosen. It doesn't work, man. It does not work. And so that's what I want people to understand, man. I knew God was dragging me out of that house for a reason. I knew he was dragging me out of that room for a reason, rather. He wanted me to have all these things to say. I didn't have any idea I was going to say all this stuff. No clue I was going to say all of this. But at the end of the day, man, this is one of the more important ones that I've made recently, because what it really comes down to is just understanding that people are trying to get certain things that they want without having knowledge of self well enough to know that they are not going to get those things the way that they're going about getting. That what they do doesn't bring about what they think it does. And then furthermore, they may be welcoming the opposite and further opposite of the reputation that they think they're going to have for doing it. And there are people who they're aligned with, just like in Satanism's way of doing things, that they think they can trust, that they cannot trust. Enemies that they think they see clearly, that they don't know nothing about, that they can't even see clearly. All of these different things, man. I promise you, if you're aligning with a living God, you're not going to have anything, and I mean anything to do with this crowd. If you align with something that's greater than, you're going to know better than to do anything that would otherwise harm his children. Black, white, Asian, Palestinian, Mexican, you ain't going to harm his kids because you know better on many different fronts. He will help you understand what a child may grow up to be. It's beyond what you can fathom. He will let you know that the person that you very well looking to hurt may be the person that's going to come back around and save your life later on. If you would wipe them out, ain't nobody going to save your life in this certain circumstance. If anything, you're going to do life for hurting them. Like, these are the type of things like, yo, they annihilating all these kids, annihilating all these people. You don't know what the kid's going to grow up to be. That might be your best doctor. That might be your best lawyer. That might be your best accountant. That might be the person that brings about the change in life that awakens you from the nonsense that you ultimately believe. You don't know what that child's going to grow up to be while you labeling them a terrorist at 3 years old. They could be the one that makes a difference in regards to what it is you're going to find yourself involved in. That could be the doctor or the scientist that figures out a cure to the disease that your daughter's going to be suffering from. You are not smart for annihilating children. Especially as a nation that is not intelligent at all. So that's what I want to say, man. Enough of this devilishness, man. Devilish confusion and stupidity, man. Enough of this nonsense. If you're going to engage in genocide, man, you could be wiping out the very person you need. Many people you need. Bdf 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.